Meet Scott Wagner, Pennsylvania's blue-collar Republican. State Senator Scott Wagner, Republican frontrunner in the Pennsylvania gubernatorial contest, has established a reputation as a brash and aggressive outsider bent on bringing a CEO's efficiency to Harrisburg. Wagner, who owns and operates a $70 million a year trash collection empire, styles himself in the image of President Donald Trump, insisting he wants to make Pennsylvania great again. The 62-year-old self-described serial entrepreneur, who told reporters he bought 20,000 Trump lawn signs in the summer of 2016, opened his business at just 20 years old with nothing more than a high school diploma. It is this record, Wagner argues, lends him the credibility to speak to issues like the skilled labor shortage and over-enrollment in college and be taken seriously in a way that escapes many of the former bankers and lawyers who fill out the ranks of the Republican Party. Everybody talks about creating more jobs and how we need to bring more jobs back to Pennsylvania. Well, here's a fact. Pennsylvania has at least 200,000 skilled labor positions that are currently open across the state, Wagner told the Daily Caller News Foundation. I am talking about plumbers, electricians, carpenters, pipe fitters, you know the trades. Our challenge is we need to find the people to fill those positions. The cornerstone of my campaign is going to be an intense focus on education and the education system. We need to retool and reinvent the current education system. Wagner's focus on the challenges facing middle-class Pennsylvanians combined with more traditional anti-regulation, pro-business Republican rhetoric gave him the edge as a write-in candidate for state senate in New York County. Trump beat out former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in the county by almost 30 points in the 2016 presidential election. After decades of political contributions did little to stem the tide of mounting government regulations and a growing budget deficit, Wagner, who describes himself as an ATM machine for politicians, decided to involve himself directly in the process. In a move right out of Trump's playbook, Wagner described the paperwork required to run his multiple businesses to illustrate the extent of government overreach in the state. When I started my business, I had 5 regulations that I had to comply with in a manila folder and it closed. Today, the binder is 3.5 inches thick, and it's over 100 pages of regulation, he said. Wagner's time in the Pennsylvania Senate has not been without controversy. He quickly established a reputation as an aggressive newcomer, launching a campaign to oust GOP Majority Leader Dominic Pileggi 6 months into his tenure. He was able to unite his Republican colleagues against Pileggi by casting him as soft on unions, a charge difficult to level against Wagner. The business owner has a record of vigorously campaigning against the interests of union bosses, a group he is familiar with due to his long career in waste management. He assumed control of the Senate Republican Campaign Committee (SRCC), the same group that previously dug at his campaign with attack ads. Having successfully upended the political establishment in Harrisburg, Wagner presided over a party that has reclaimed 3 Democratic seats, sealing the party's first veto-proof majority in the Senate in over 70 years. In my 4 decades of being involved in Pennsylvania government, I can't remember anything that even closely resembles Scott Wagner and what he has done politically, GOP political consultant Charlie Jarrow told Philadelphia Magazine. There certainly have been wealthy guys who entered into the process, and there have certainly been folks who have attempted to do what Scott Wagner is doing. But no one has had the staying power that he has. While the political upstart has proven himself more than capable of building a caucus, his aggressive brand of politics alienated certain constituencies. He has come under attack from the Christian right for endorsing and reviving a long-stalled anti-LGBT discrimination bill. The 2016 bill, which increased anti-discrimination workplace and housing protections for LGBT Pennsylvanians, was met with opposition from Christian conservatives who believed it could be used to force employers to allow for transgender employees to use the bathroom of your choice, a charge Wagner flatly denies. I do not have a third bathroom agenda. I would never sign a third bathroom bill if it came across my desk. It is pure and simple, we need to tighten up the anti-discrimination laws. This bill has nothing to do with bathrooms. It has a complete mischaracterization. Pure and simple, Wagner said of the backlash. Wagner also said he wants to tackle the state's opioid epidemic. The tide of overdose and the resulting misery swept into Pennsylvania the same way it did in many economically depressed states that Trump won in 2016. As an employer managing scores of trucks drivers, Wagner had a front row seat as the opioid problem became an epidemic. He said he first noticed something was wrong in the early 2000s, almost a decade before overprescription became the hot-button political issue it is today. My experience with the drug crisis started back in the 2000s. We work in a labor-intensive industry, so we have a lot of sprains and strains. For pain, the doctors were prescribing 30-day prescriptions for Vicodin and Oxycodone back in the early 2000s, Wagner explained. So why does somebody with a sprained ankle or strained back need to walk out with a 30-day prescription? I saw this. We went to the med centers. We talked as a company. As an employer, we were proactive with our doctors. We asked